Alright, so my friend Tyler and I are going to work on this downrigger. We've been having some problems with it skipping, like there's something going on. I had a similar problem with my other downrigger, and actually the spool was separating. I think after just being out in the weather a lot, the heat, and using them so much, it's a plastic spool, heavy duty, but I think it's separating. So we're going to go through the whole process of this Scotty high performance downrigger, show you how to take it apart and look for possible errors that you might get, because it's just kind of warbling in there and it's not going down correctly. It's like, and we keep adjusting it and adjusting it. So we're sure there's a problem somewhere. So we're going to take it apart and show you what we think we can do to fix it. We're going to start by doing this here. We're going to unlock this thing. There's one on both sides. We unlock it here. This plate comes right off like this. This is your counter, and we're done with that. This is the little wrench here that they always have on these things. Put it there. I'm going to grab my box wrench. One off right here. This is the one that holds that little tool in place on top from here to here to this post. So take that off. Our tool, emergency tools here. You can use that to take these things off, but it's a lot easier with this 15mm wrench here. So we're going to take it apart like this. And this is where you put the tension on it to tell you how quickly you want the ball to drop or where to stop. So depending on the size of weight, you can adjust this bolt right here, this nut right here, to the weight. We'll do that at the very end to make sure we have it just the way we want it to. But these things, we use them so much. I mean, this thing is, 3 years old, and we probably use it 10,000 times. It seems like, it's got a lot of hours on it. And the other one came apart, completely came apart probably about 5 months ago. We had a problem with it. Absolutely.
And they replaced it right away.
Yeah, Scotty was great about replacing it. I'm going to tell them this about this one. Maybe they'll replace it too. I didn't have to pay anything for it. I actually bought an extra spool when they replaced the other one, and I bought extra brake because I knew that if it's going to happen to one, I've got 4 of them. It's probably going to happen to all 4 of them. So I'll talk to them again. They're the best service in the world. They take care of things. Them and Garmin. Anytime I call, I get really knowledgeable people that know the product, and they will definitely stand behind their products. I really, really appreciate that. All right. Okay, so I take off the nut. This goes here like this, and there's a metal plate right here. We take this metal plate off. It fits in these little grooves right here. So when we put it back on, it'll be just like that. And helps to brake the thing. I mean, braking it for the braking system. I'll put it here out of the way. I already cut the line off of the spool. I'll take this like this. This is another metal plate. This metal plate actually hits the brake. It sits on the brakes right there. Those are the brake pads. Okay? And this fits in this groove right here. When you're putting them back together, and there's a bearing in here it runs on. Okay? So we take, lightning. Maybe we get struck by lightning while we're doing this. So we're looking at, see, this is the problem. This happened my last one here. I'm not sure how often that happens, but man, look at that. There's a crack right there. Eventually, that's just going to keep cracking all the way around, and the whole thing's going to just blow up on us. And that's what happened to us once already, so we know there's a problem sometimes. But it's probably just from excessive use. We use it a lot.
Right, right.
Kind of crazy, huh?
That's why it was kind of clunky on the going down.
Yeah, and it was catching and warbling this because it's not no longer even. So it's warbling as it's going on. I thought the spool was.
You can see it from the side.
Yeah, I thought the spool was warbled. It is actually a little bit. It's kind of waveformed because it's separating itself.
Yeah, I think so.
Some parts are getting higher and lower because of that crack.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it last time to them, they'd never seen that before. So I'm going to show them it happened twice, and maybe they'll start changing. Maybe they'll do something and reinforce it somehow. I don't know how they do that. So when we look at this, I got a brand new spool. Looks like we're going to be, with the new line, we're going to be putting it in through this little hole right here and tying it off and then spooling it up. So a couple of different ways I thought about spooling it up. Maybe do it by hand just to make sure, or we can maybe use the machine and the power on it. But the thing's so powerful, I'm afraid we get going with that thing. I got a brand new spool right here. Spool here, and you can see it's not cracked on the inside like the other one. So it's perfect. And a brand new set of braid line. This is about 30 bucks, I think. This was, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks. But, if you need it, you need it. So if you have the ability to have extra on your boat, great. And the belt I took off earlier. I have extra belts in case one of those blows out too. So I'm going to take that.
Hasn't happened yet, but you never know.
Yeah, it can happen anytime. Here's another clip if we want it. Keep those always. Here's a new braid here. This is 200-pound braid. And it's 300 feet, so we're just going to use all 300 feet of it and we'll put it on there. All right. Get that out of the way. All right, so here's what we do. I didn't make a threader to get this thing in here because there's a really thin slot right here. Little tiny slot. I got to get the line back and out of that from the inside. So I'm going to take some line here, fold it kind of tight, see if I can shove it down in there. I'm going to stick it in the hole here. Back to front, maybe. There it is. On the inside there now. So we'll pull it out like this. And we'll stick that in there. Oops, sorry. You see that? Pull it back that way. Perfect. And I'll pull it through one way. Now we got to push it back through the other way. So let's see if we can get this threader on the other side. Unless you can push it back through that hole, maybe. It might be easier that way. It's harder on the inside. Let's go right through. There we go.
It is stiffer.
So now we have it on the inside like it's supposed to be.
Well, we'll tie a slip knot here. So just go ahead and make a loop with your tag end, like that. Pinch and hold your main line. Put them together. Wrap your tag. I'd say in this case probably 3-4 times. I know it's kind of tight quarters, so you may not be able to see very well.
I should take it.
And then take your tag end, run it back through, loop, maybe just a slip knot, you know, or whatever if you need to. So then kind of preset it. Go ahead and slide it down.
Slide it down into the hole there. There it's in there now. It's all the way in there.
There it is. So you're able to tighten it up.
All right, can we cut the tag? So we're going to cut this tag end off over here, so it's not sticking in there and impeding us at all. We hope. If I can get it, hard to see this, but I'm going to cut that off.
Go
all right, I'm going to come from your side, close as I can. There we go. Pretty close. You're going to tighten that up in there.
Nice and tight.
And we were thinking it had to go counterclockwise, right?
Yeah, so I think it needs to go this way.
Okay. So we're going to
probably safer.
That high-powered downrigger there.
Cut your finger.
You might just rip your hand or your fingers right off, so we're going to do this.
Well, in this way you can control its left to right, right? So you have an even distribution. You do it by hand?
Yeah. So we're
going to get a screwdriver, get some tension on it, and I'll just roll this thing right in there. All right, let's go that way.
And we're going to take a commercial break.
So, we finally, 2 hours later, we hand wound this thing in here. When we get out in the deeper water, we're going to drop it down and zip it back up to get it all tightened up. But it's on here now, and it's raining like crazy here, so we're going to do that in a minute.
Yeah, we're going to wait.
Then we'll put the plastic stopper beads on later, the ones.
And we don't need them right away, but we'll put some on later when we need them. We're going to put the tuna cord back on there, which automatically stops at the top.
Right.
Perfect.
So why do we put beads on?
Well, you stopper beads to stop the thing. Sometimes we want to set them at 20, 30 feet, 40 feet, so it's not jamming up. This super high-powered stopper beads will slow it down. They hit a little gate on the downrigger, and it shuts it off. And then the next one, so every 20, 30 feet, 40 feet, depending on how deep you're fishing. If you're fishing for salmon, maybe a couple hundred feet. Maybe you want to stop at 100 and then 50 and then stop at the end, maybe. But for us, often we want to stop every 20 to 40 feet because we're not fishing that deep. We want to stop and slow it down. Right. We know we can bring it up really quick, 20 feet. Hits the bait drum. Now I'm at from 40 feet to 20 feet with one snap.
I think you also get more life out of your spool.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not jarring it so much, and that's probably what happens over the long run, and it snaps the back of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's probably just from the bouncing with waves or...
Right.
Probably reinforced somehow, but the last one literally just cut it off and destroyed the braid. And this thing's... Now I just use it to hold the braid now in case I need to rebraid, in case I get stuck and lose braid.
Yeah.
I'll just take this and spool it onto one of these spools.
Right.
Yep.
There we go.
All right, so we're at the point here. Got the middle blade here, right here. It's going to butt up right against this thing right here, like this. And then I'm going to slide this on right on the shaft. Yeah, something like that. Hold it when it goes all the way down so it doesn't slide off. Make sure it sits down under the brakes. You see the brakes right here, right? These are the brakes. That, when you pull back, it releases it. The spring pops it out, push it forward. The brakes set. These little brake pads right here. And when you get worn a little bit, you can flip them over and use them on the other side. Now they're going to do it because they get little grooves in them and stuff. So I'm going to flip them over to make them work better.
Cool.
So we're going to do that. Get this down like this. Get in the hole. There we go. Hold it all the way down. All right. So I'm going to turn this outward so we can see a little better. We're going to reassemble the top now, which is going to be it's getting well worn, you can tell, just from usage and overusage, but hadn't failed me yet. So this sits in these little round spots. Each point goes into one like that. And we're going to take the rest of this stuff, and it goes on like so, with the washer on top. And you're going to end up lining this up with this little post right here. See this? We'll do that with the wrench on the top here. This is going to go on. This is our tensioner we're going to end up putting on here. Tighten it down. Get my tool, start tightening it down. And then we'll set the tension with the weight on it to make sure that it's correctly releasing for the size of weight we're using. So let me just get this on here. Put it in here, actually, it might be easier. It's got to be way down there anyway. And go, 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 go. So I can still start to tighten up a little bit. Try it about there for now. And they have this little crazy thing here. This is a retainer that holds the emergency undo a wrench on out of here. So you can put this wrench in here and spin the thing manually on or off with this thing. It's a pain, but it is a way to get it up in case you have a problem. So you can line up. Too tight, I think. It's not one back off there a little bit. Yeah, let me do that.
So it looks like it's a little bit too tight.
Yeah, it is. So a little bit too tight. I couldn't move this at all, so I'm going to loosen it up a tiny bit so it slides around. Okay, now I know it will. And we'll check it with the weight. So this goes here like this. Sorry, my hand's in the way. I'll put it on left hand anyway. I'll reach on the... You want just barely on the top here. And it's got to slide in this little notch here. And it's not, like I said, it's not even. So you got to figure out where exactly it'll fit in that notch. Slide in there and on this post at the same time. There it is. Okay, so it fits on this far here, mostly over it. And this right here. What happens is the lid itself has a pin on it. This pin right here fits right on that and holds that in place so this thing doesn't spin around. Right, so I'm going to put the pin, I'm going to put this back together. I'm going to put the belt back on it. All right, so get the belt on there. It winds through here like this. And roll it around. There we go. So the belt's on there now. All right. So we're going to put this lid back on. It's kind of interesting because the older style had like a lithium battery or a non-rechargeable battery in here. The newer ones, you can actually take these two things off and you put like AAA batteries in here. So, which is kind of cool. If you had to order a new one on these screens, it runs independently of the power on this. This powers directly to the batteries, the main batteries of the boat. This has an independent power source, which is a couple AAA batteries on the back side here. So, kind of cool the way they changed that over the years. And these slide back over like this. All right, so technically it's all good to go there. Now I'm going to take this end over here to show you this. Spin it over here, around to you. We're going to rethread this through here. All right, so the line's going to go through this gate. This is the cool thing about this gate. I was talking about a gate. This gate, whenever one of the beads or this big swivel hits this gate, it turns the power off. I never used the push button here because one time I did that really, and it came up, the 15-pound ball came up, came down, broke this 200-pound braid. I lost like $600 worth of stuff, a probe, much other stuff there. So I no longer use it. I just turn on and off. When it hits the gate, boom, shuts off. That's why I put beads throughout the way I talked about earlier. All right, so I'll cut the rest of this off here. Oh, you know what? I have to tie the polymer knot here, so I'm going to have to take this thing all the way out first. Here. Take it off of here so I can tie the polymer knot, because that's a suggested knot to tie for this to get this thing in there right. And this is the cool thing about Scotty's. We have these bungees here.
Like a snubber.
Yeah, it's a big snubber, and it bounces things when you hit rocks or stuff. You catch something, you back up, and the thing pops right out. And it has a 400-pound test tuna cable here. Okay, so within itself, I have to take off this release. I use a camber release. I think it's a great release here. So I can get this all rethreaded. It's been a while since I've done this, so get that off. Lock this down. So, cable. Release the cable. It's a little tight there. I can hear it. Brakes grind a little bit, so I'll loosen up some more. So I'm going to go through here. I've restrung this through the pulley there. And so what I'm going to do now, so I'm going to take this, and I'm going to tie the old trusty polymer knot that I tie for everything. This is here, through this polymer knot. Go through this way, alright? I have a whole video on how to tie this knot. I tie pretty much everything off this knot. You got this here like this. Got your tag in, and your main line in, and your loop. Alright, so you're going to take this, tie a half knot, or a half hitch, pull through. There we go again, right? Then you have to put all this stuff through the loop, cinch it up. So we're going to do that. Keep pulling it up. I'm going to get this through there too. Oh, come here, you. Get over that. Keep going. And nice and wet, so I get this thing to start sliding itself back to where it needs to be, all the way to the end. Because you put something through the loop here, and come back through it, it doubles up, keeps the full line strength. If you just put it through once and wrap that around, you lose 50% of the line strength anytime your fishing line or whatever it is you lose half a line strength if you go through only one time. So we're going back and forth, 100% line strength. So I got 200 pounds of line strength here, which is great. So I'm gonna grab my tool here, grab the hand there, and we're gonna cut that tag end off there. Oop. I'm gonna bring this up manually like this. Sounds like it's here. Watch this. Sounds like it's really still too tight, and I'm going to loosen it up and probably. I'm going to put a weight on. I'm going to tip it over the edge here, and have our lovely assistant over here catch the weight. So I'm going to put this over like this. The cool thing about this is you can take these like this. Other downriggers, you can't do that. You know, you can take them up, you can flip them up and around, like this. If you want. And let me grab that. Grinding, it's too tight. 12-pound stick weight. Some guy made these for me because he appreciates us giving fish. It's an 1.5 inch pipe, I think, with it's about 11.5 inches long, 12 pounds. Perfect. Galvanized
was it made of tungsten or what?
No, it's a galvanized piece of pipe, man. Lead center, lead core. That's what I think. It's like the lead core of itself. So she's trying to pull on that weight a little bit, and it's not releasing it all really enough. So I need to loosen it up inside of here. So we're gonna take this off, loosen up so the weight just kind of just a little bit. So if you hook it up on something, it's not just stuck. We want it to release enough where it's pulling some line out. We don't want pulling line out. We're trying to put line in the water. So it's a kind of a balancer. So we'll take this apart again here. And then take this off again. I need to get back onto this again. Again. And loosen it goes this way. Let me go and roll that up here first. It's too much. See that?
Kind of finicky.
Yeah,
It is. So let me. Can you pick the weight up, please? Hold it for a second. I'm going to bring it up this way. I'm going to put the plate, all the stuff back together. It's just a tiny bit of a difference. See, it just took a little tiny bit to make it drop. So it's kind of a fine. Bring it up all the way to here. Pull this around to here. Reassemble it.
We had just done this part for all the brake pads. We had the brakes weren't resetting, so we took off everything, the spools, and flipped all the brake pads and put these weights to do this test just 2 days ago. So this part, I think we have figured out.
And now he knows how to change them to braid.
Awesome.
The braid line's like $30.
Oh, good.
And it's 200-pound test. There's only one way that goes on. There's like one set that
Crazy working out.
this there. I'll put the top back on here and see if it'll still drop once I have it set. So I'll put it back on here.
Back one needs to go out first.
All right, let go of it. Put it down. There you go. Oh. Pull down on it a little bit. Okay. That's about what you want. That way you get hooked on a rock or something, it's going to let it line out. If you don't make this adjustment, you hit something, and even that 200-pound cable, man, eventually it's going to give. The boat weighs 5,000 pounds and starts pulling against that, you're in big trouble. So you need to be able to have a little bit of give on that. So I think that's going to be about it. Everything's been replaced in here, the line, the new spool, and if you have any questions about it, give us a call, let us know. Check out the rest of our YouTube videos. Hopefully this do-it-yourself type will be good for you as it is for me, as I make it up as I go. But next time, we'll see you on the water. Online. Boomerang Tool Company.
I think they lock too.
They lock in, they lock out, lock in. You can't accidentally cut yourself. Or circumcise yourself, maybe, I don't know.
That'll go in the blooper reel.
Yeah.
Edit. I'm the editor in chief. I love it.